All right, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks. It's episode 153. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99. All right, y'all. Back with another one. Doing this one as a pre-record just so y'all know. But y'all know what to do. Y'all like to talk in the chat anyway. So y'all keep it going in there and y'all can just leave your comments. And like usually, if I have time, I'll go back and look through and rewatch the stream. But yeah, man, we back with another one, y'all. Definitely had to come back on here and talk about some more WMMA, just some of the fights that I missed, like when I first started this channel, I used to cover a lot of LFA and Cage Fury, but I just didn't have a lot of time. But I've been doing that a little bit more now. So, I had to come back and give my 2 cents on LFA 182 this past Friday. So gotta cover that. I gotta cover that card. The women's fights. There was two good ones, two good fights on there. All right. So yeah, just a few things I want to talk about tonight. This ain't gonna be no long show today. So yeah, first off, I want to kick it off with some LFA talk, LFA 182, and I wanted to kind of go back in on Karine Silva a little bit. A couple of things that y'all was talking about in the chat that I didn't really get a chance to address towards the end of the live. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And some of y'all asked me about Ketlin Vieira, and her call out of Kayla Harrison. So I want to speak on that because, I went back and listened to her interview, and this is probably the most fired up I ever seen Ketlin Vieira, So let's talk about that. And Andrea Lee and Montana De La Rosa haven't really discussed it yet over here. So I want to talk about that flyweight fight and maybe some other things too when I'm wrapping this thing up. We'll see how much time I got. But yeah, man. Jumping back, Friday, man. Friday was a good card, man, for LFA 182, man. The card overall, I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I had to go back and watch, the women's fights. The first one on this card. Well, you know which one we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this one I got pictured right here, but we got to go back and talk about this because they both were good finishes. All right, this flyweight fight here between Cheyenne Bowers and Naomi Young. I've seen these two fighters before. Naomi Young fought in Combate a few times, coming up short, more of an outside striker, but still needs to kind of work on her takedown defense and ground game. Cheyenne Bowers, this girl right here, I see some potential in her. Like, I'm not going to jump the gun and say, okay, she UFC ready, but at 4-1, I'm seeing, some good promising things from this girl. She's a strong fighter, strong wrestler, good offense. The way she throws her strikes, she'll throw her strikes to get on the inside. She's taking her head off the line too. That aggression, man, like that physicality too of Bowers, man. Like at flyweight, she would definitely be a force to be reckoned with. So I'm keeping my eye on this girl right here. At 4-1, she's lost her first fight in professional MMA, but since then, she's just going on a good little win streak. Beat Alex Pieda's sister. Y'all know what's her name? Aline Pieta. They were already kind of pushing her as the next big thing, but hey, you see, Muay Thai or whatever, kickboxing, you see that whole world is different in MMA because Aline Pieta, she's already 1-2. She's already 1-2 now because they were kind of pushing her hard, but she's got to come up the same way. She saw that Cheyenne Bowers ain't playing, and this girl, she has a good wrestling base. Overall, just good physical strength. Tough and durable. This fight with Naomi Young, Cheyenne Bowers, she scored a second round TKO. I mean, she went in there and imposed her will. She was really putting the pressure on Naomi Young in this fight. I like how she would clinch. When she would clinch, she was landing some vicious knees to the body, getting that takedown. The first round, she was really just like out wrestling Naomi Young in the cage. Good hand control where she would separate Naomi Young's hands, grabbing the wrists, and then she would knee her up the middle to the body, taking her down. and, getting that full mount, finishing the first round with heavy ground and pound. Then the second round, man, like she was just the overall better fighter from the outside and inside. She was controlling with some kicks, left hands from a distance. She hurt Naomi Young a couple of times with some harsh strikes from the outside, closed that distance again, and just took Naomi Young down once again and was trying to get the back, but just transitioned to a full mount and finished her off at the end of the second round with some heavy ground and pound. So I was impressed with Cheyenne Bowers, man. Like, I like what I see from her. I think with how she's moving, I want to see her challenge for the flyweight belt and just continue to build off of that. Because what I'm seeing from her, man, like with her base and her style, it's definitely going to be UFC friendly. But just so she's not just to make sure she's not like a crowd favorite fighter and she could be like champion, I want to see her build first, like work on her defense a little bit more, which is there. She does take her head off the line, which is good. I like to see her grab the belt from LFA and maybe do some other things first and then try to get signed to the UFC. But you know how they do, man. The UFC, they're gonna be looking. They're gonna try to get her on. They're gonna might try to sign her earlier. But I think Cheyenne Bowers needs to fight for this belt and make a big statement that way. Make a big statement first with becoming an LFA championship champion first. Yeah, good fight though. Y'all check that out. It's on the YouTube prelims of LFA. Y'all ain't gonna be disappointed with that one if you're a WMMA fan. All right. So hold on, here we go. Oh man, and y'all know this is the one I know y'all want to hear me talk about. Like, I should have talked about it Saturday, man, because this was a crazy one. Just the outcome of it, and that's how viral it's been as far as MMA knockouts. Period. Not just women, but period, man. Like, this was a crazy one. But I had to come on and talk about it. It's like, this ain't no WMMA channel if I don't talk about this fight. Strawweight fight, Kendra McIntyre versus Karine Legorreta. All right. Just so y'all know I'm talking about right there. This fight. If y'all don't know McIntyre Legorreta, this is the fight I'm talking about. By now, everybody knows this fight. So I had to put this still up here. McIntyre, man. Vicious, brutal, third round head kick KO over Legorreta right here, man. I mean, this was sick. This was sick. And it's definitely looking like KO of the year for not just women, but maybe men, MMA period, man. Like, we only 4 months deep. 4 months deep into 2024. And this was already looking like the knockout right here. I mean, this knockout right here, as soon as that kick landed to the chin, every bit of her soul left her body, man, and she just fell into a crumpled pile. If y'all haven't seen it yet, I put the link to the finish in the community post. If y'all ain't seen it, y'all need to check it out. I would love to put the replay up, but now UFC Fight Pass and them do. You can't put footage up there, so maybe we'll sneak it in somehow, but y'all know how to find it. Y'all know how y'all can find everything else viral, so find this one. But yeah, man, Kendra McIntyre, Karine Legorreta, this fight here, it was very one-sided. When I heard people talking about it at first, they were saying, because I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I watched it maybe like a few hours later. Some people saying this was like an action-packed fight, so I was expecting like some back and forth action between these two. I thought it was going to be back and forth, round by round, where they were just both exhausted. Going back and forth, close rounds. But man, like Kendra McIntyre, this girl, she's still on the come up. She's 3-1 now, only 28 years old. She was putting on a clinic of all kinds on this Legorreta, man. Legorreta was, I don't know what her game plan was. Maybe just to come in and make for an exciting fight. I mean, she came in 2-0. So I'm thinking maybe, okay, like maybe they're trying to give McIntyre a little test and vice versa. But for McIntyre, it was a test, fighting somebody that likes to swarm and come forward and put on a lot of pressure. And she handled that well. She passed it. Number 100% came out number one. She passed it. But Legorreta, on the other hand, like, I don't know what their game plan was just to come in and lead with their face and hope to swarm, because she didn't really have a takedown game plan. All right. She wasn't really fighting behind long shots and swarming and landing any power shots. She was smothering her own attack against McIntyre. So from round one, McIntyre was just playing the matador, cracking her with 1-2s, simple 1-2s, crack her with 1-2s from the outside. And every time she stepped in, I love how McIntyre would just grab that head and have that wrestle control, and she was just tossing her around. So McIntyre was strong, better from the outside, stronger on the inside, just turning this girl, ragdolling her. Like, every time she would try to step in, she would just literally toss her by the head to the ground, just tossing her around in here. So combine that, getting hit in the face and getting tossed around, you getting worn down, so McIntyre put on a really good striking clinic the first round, just consistent with her 1-2s, doing what was working, heavy kicks, heavy knees on the inside, just owning it from anywhere Legorreta wanted to fight. McIntyre was on it. She was on it. She was owning her. Second round, I like how McIntyre slowed the pace down and turned into a grappler and was just vicious with her takedowns. I mean, she was ragdolling Legorreta, picking her up, slamming her, and just controlling her from the half guard and just smothering her and putting a lot of pressure on. Legorreta got up at the end of the round, smiling, just taking this beating. But, I mean, hey, I don't know what the game plan was, but it wasn't working. So third round, Legorreta want to come in there, still leading with her face, got that big smile on her face. I know she likes to fight, but she was getting teed off on again, picked apart. McIntyre just cracking her with them 1-2s, hit her with a few good shots to the body, caught her with one head kick. I believe she got a mouthpiece knocked out too. Yeah, she did get a mouthpiece knocked out in the third round. And she got caught with one head kick and smiled. And I'm like, okay, here it comes. McIntyre creates that distance right there, like you see, getting close to the back of the cage. I believe Legorreta threw like a left or a right and dropped her hand, smiling. So McIntyre, she throws her own right, comes back with his left head kick, and boom, she crumbled. That was it. And it looked like she was smiling when she went down. So it was like, okay, like she out. At least she went down smiling. I was like, wow, vicious, man. But the way she went down, go back and look at it, y'all. That was killer. I mean, this one was even sicker than like Emily Ducote knocking out Danielle Taylor on the feet. You know what I mean? Like, that was a stunning knockout where she just knocked her out. She was just standing there like Mortal Kombat or something. But this one here, man, when she kicked her, she was just gone. There was no stumbling back. There was no stiffness like when Johnny Walker got knocked out, right? This one, like, she crumbled. The kick took everything out of her body. Like, that's how it was. That was vicious, man. But yeah, definitely candidate for like KO of the year for women. Good fight. Still from both fighters. Well, there's definitely still going to be something both fighters have to prove to, get to a belt or something. But yeah, I definitely want to see Kendra McIntyre. She passed this test at 3-1. So moving on from here, this is like her third fight in LFA. She's won her first fight in Invicta FC. I think she's on a good path to kind of go back and forth between Invicta FC, LFA. So I want to see her do either one. Go to Invicta FC, maybe fight Danny McCormick over there for the belt, or stay over here in LFA and fight for a belt. Either one's good for her. But as for Karine Legorreta, I mean, that's her first loss. I mean, that's definitely going to be an eye-opener for her. She's only what? I don't see her age up here. I don't have her age listed, but this type of fight is definitely going to wise her up, man. Like, defense. Some defense is something they weren't working on, man, and she needs it big time. Like, kind of reminded me like a Casey O'Neill style, where she was coming forward with a lot of volume, man. She was coming forward with a lot of volume and just kind of leading with her face, looking for that type of fight. But she just didn't have that takedown plan. Like, she didn't have that type of grappling on her mind. I don't know if she just wanted to fight. And there still has to be some science behind fighting. You just can't go in there leading with your face, man. So yeah, good fight. Both fights on LFA were solid. Let me know if y'all saw them. If you haven't, just pull them up. They free. I know the Bowers and Naomi Young fight was free. It's on YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, going back to last weekend, I wanted to jump on this again. I know we talked a little bit about it last night, but looking forward now and moving forward now with the flyweights and these two flyweights, y'all know, Karine Silva and Ariane Lipski. I just wanted to say this, man. Like, I know we were all I won't say all, because as competition gets stiff, fights get harder, but I know the majority were expecting Karine Silva to get a finish and or look dominant and make this thing, as one-sided as possible if there was no chance to get a finish. But to me, I still think Karine Silva is a threat. She definitely still is a threat. Like, she's still a threat to anybody else in this division. But just because it didn't go this way in one fight doesn't mean that it's going to be the same way in another fight. Now, I do agree that there is some things that she has to work on. And we know that's with every fight. Every fighter, they always have to work on something. But I think with Lipski, going back and looking at the fight again, I think with Ariane, it was the fact that they knew the danger. So with her particular style, that's what they worked on as far as her defense. They wanted to take this approach to be a little bit more defensive minded on the ground, but it might not be that way with the next person. The next person might say, "Oh, I'm just as good on the ground," or my jiu-jitsu is just as solid, and they could leave themselves open. So I think Lipski's takedown defense and her ground defense just made it that much harder for Karine Silva, right? So yeah, after looking at that performance again, I gotta say, Karine Silva is still a threat. I think she's still a threat. Like, I'm not going to say, okay, this girl is overrated or she'll start losing to everybody now. No, like, how? Like, she won every single round in this fight. She didn't crumble. She didn't show any signs of frustration. She showed signs of fading a little bit, but with that comes with the territory of stepping out of your comfort zone. That's what you do. Like, it was a blessing for her to fight a 3-round fight. Like, it was probably better that she didn't finish Lipski, because as she gets higher and higher, she's going to be fighting longer fights. She's going to be fighting more than 3 rounds and maybe from a 5-round fight, So having to go 3 with Lipski, I think, benefited her more than getting her out of there in 1, because now she knows that these girls that are bigger, they're stronger, these girls are better takedown defense, they're going to be harder to get out. They're going to be harder to get out of this. So I gotta be stronger. I gotta pace myself now, right? So moving forward, like, she had the fight under control, right, until the 3rd round. Like I said, I give Lipski the 3rd round, but she still had the mind frame to stay in control of the fight and win the fight, and that's what's important as you get higher. Your IQ has to advance. You got to do that. I think Silva did a good job of that, but I want to see more improvement as far as pacing herself and not throwing as many heavy shots. Looking for her range with her jab more instead of just those hard front face kicks, soccer kicks, right? I think getting into that habit is going to leave her open for counters. Surprisingly, Lipski didn't get any of those counters on her. So I think that's important. Yeah, Karine Silva just needs to really make sure that they slow that pace down a little bit, because the girls aren't going to be getting taken out like that. When she starts fighting the girls that get on the ground with her, like Aaron, if she she has to fight Aaron Blanchfield. That's going to be a good fight. Aaron's jiu-jitsu is solid. She might not be well, I won't say she might not be submitting the same way, but I'd be wrong if I said that in a way, right? Because she did submit at least three out of three of her fights that she's won in the UFC. Aaron did get some submissions. So yeah, Aaron's good. Like, Aaron's mindset is more MMA than it is just pure jiu-jitsu now. But I'm sure that when she takes on Karine, she's going to be well aware of what's going on. So that's going to be a good competitive fight. That'll be a fight to make Karine wake up. Any fight at the top 5 or top 6 is going to be a fight to make Karine wake up and say, okay, like, let me slow it down and not expect to finish. And I think she did that anyway. I think that's the mindset she had, because in the pre-fight interview, she did say, hey, I'm ready to go 1, 2, or 3. She was ready to go 1, 2, or 3. She wasn't necessarily looking for it. So I think with that mindset, it's going to make her a threat to whoever's holding the belt or whoever's in the top 5, but it's still going to take some time to work. Because a threat doesn't mean, that person going to just knock them out or take them out in the first round. It's a threat to that person's throne, meaning they could just beat them. They could be the smarter fighter and become the complete fighter and beat them, right? So yeah, Karine Silva definitely still on her way up. Got another victory. She got 30-27. That still says, yeah, she's still gonna be that fighter that could go in there and dominate your number 6 and number 7 and fight her way to a title shot pretty soon, right? Lipski, on the other hand, ain't nothing to be ashamed of for her. I think Ariane Lipski, just needs to kind of, I think, wake it up with her offense, be a little bit more assertive with it. I think with them last 3 victories, I won't say she got comfortable. Maybe she was expecting that Karine would leave herself a little bit more open, but she's got to go look for it too now. She's got to look for that finish, and she's got to be more confident to say, okay, like, I can step in this zone and I can take over and make Karine not want to take me down. That's what I think Lipski needed in this fight. Lipski had to be first and close that distance and hurt Silva a couple of times with some shots to make her not want to shoot for it like that. But that'll come with time. Lipski, I think her last 3 victories, those were good fights on a resume. Beating Gatto, JJ Aldrich, Casey O'Neill just shows you that, yeah, she is still a good addition to the top 15. Maybe take one step down fight. Maybe her and Miranda Maverick. That's a good fight. But Miranda, she's also improving. So I don't know. Like that's a good one. If Miranda stays out of that range and she's been working her striking, if she takes Lipski down, Lipski could have problems there. But if she gets Miranda's respect on the feet with the power, we'll see. But Miranda has a good chin. Miranda's got a good chin, and she's been eyeballing her range pretty well in her last few fights. The way she stayed out of the way of the big shots of Cachoeira, Andrea Lee, she can take a shot too. She can take a shot. So that would be a good one. That would be a good fight. Lipski versus Maverick. That's one I'd like to see next. But as for Silva, like I said, Ibas, Chikagan, Cortez, any of those fights are good. I think Cortez is a little closer down to the bottom, so that would kind of be like her fighting one step at a time for Silva. Because, I think, Tracy Cortez, that probably wouldn't be fair to Karine Silva. Maybe let her step it up a little bit more, because she just fought Lipski, who was 12. And then what? You took the 12 spot, then you got to fight the number 11 again. So you got to fight one step up again. Like maybe, she does deserve to fight at least 3 or 4 up, like Chikagan, or let me see, 3 up, which is Ibas. One of them names right on the edge of the top 10 would be good for her. Yeah. So I still like what Karine Silva's doing. I wanted to see her have to get tested at some point, and I wanted to see what she would look like in the second or third round. I would love to see that finishing streak continue, because that would say a lot too. That would scare more. I think that would make the stock a little bit more scarier there, to make us say, okay, yeah, like she's still that type of problem, but she still is a problem, for the top 7, 8, as far as being, a complete fighter. Still some things to work on, but I think, yeah, she'll be there at some point. All right. Oh yeah. Sticking with flyweight, though. Let's run through this one a little bit. I want to talk about this fight a little bit. I know we haven't discussed it over here, but got another rematch coming up here. And I say another because I think of that Rodriguez, what was it? Rodriguez Waterson rematch, which wasn't really a necessary rematch. And what was that other one? Molly McCann and Diana Belbita. And some of these rematches, they don't happen. Ain't like they throw it at us too often, but there's been some unnecessary ones. But let me see. When does this one take place? Yeah. This is the Louisville, Kentucky one in on the Canyoneer card. Okay. Yeah. June 8th. You got Andrea Lee and Montana De La Rosa. They running it back. This is a rematch to their first fight, which is what, like 6 years ago? About 5 years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago, 2019. Yeah, they fought 5 years ago, 2019. I think I picked Montana in that one, which at the time, I don't know why, because, I've seen, I had been watching Andrea Lee, what she was capable of. Maybe it was the fact that, again, even then, at that time, I'd seen like how Andrea Lee is with certain fights, like even in that first fight she fought with Roxy, right? So I was kind of giving Montana that. I was giving her that edge at the time because I said, okay, maybe this girl is on something. Like, she's tough, durable. Maybe her wrestling to give her problems, but Andrea Lee was having a time with her jab in that fight. She was landing on Montana. She was doing some damage to that nose again. But Andrea Lee, I was in like a position to almost get submitted by Montana, I believe, in that third round. I have to go back and watch it, but I'm gonna have to go back one day and kind of look at that one and see how far they fell from that fight, because that's what this fight kind of is to me. Like, my thoughts on this, I think it's gonna be entertaining in a way. It's gonna be entertaining because there's gonna be blood in this fight. I definitely see blood in this fight, but this is more of to see who can hold on to their job at this point. Like I say, this rematch is loser leaves town. I think. I really do. I think it's that, it's the harsh reality, but Andrea Lee is on a 4-fight losing streak, right? Let's double check here. Hold on. Yep. Andrea Lee is on a 4-fight losing streak. Before that, she was on a 2-fight winning streak. Before that, she was on a 3-fight losing streak. So in her last 4, 7, 8, 9 fights, she's 2-7. All right. Last 9 fights, she's 2-7. Then you got Montana. Oh man, she's on a 3-fight losing streak. Before that, she won 1. Before that, she lost. Before that, she had another win, and then she had that loss to Andrea in the past 5 years. So let's look at Andrea Lee's last 9 fights. All right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Andrea Lee actually at least has 3 wins. She has 3 wins, 2, 4. She's 3, 6, and 1. So that's her last 10 fights, right? Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, oh, never mind. No, she's not 3. She's her last 7 fights. She's 2, 6, and 1. Yeah, 2, 6, and 1. All right. Yeah. So Lee De La Rosa 2 is going to be a loser leaves town type of situation. All right. It is that type of situation, y'all. It's the harsh truth, but it is. Andrew Lee is 2-7. Montana is 2-6-1. Okay. So on paper, when you see it, that's just how you got to look at this situation. That's what it is. I mean, it's just the truth. When you look at Andrea Lee and how she moves without seeing the resume, you would think that, okay, this girl probably is like a top 7, top 8 fighter, you know? That's usually how it is. How it is. Like, some people who ask me, how good is Andrea Lee for? Like, what's your thoughts? When I be like, oh, well, you know, she's got this and that. Like, she has certain tools, but to see her perform, it's like a different thing, man. Like, it's like Andrea Lee mentally checks out sometimes. You know, Andrea Lee just don't seem like she's in the fight. Every fight I've seen, you know, so it makes me hard to pick her in there. Again, she's got them tools. Like, when you look at her, just first look, physique, stance, form, the accomplishments, you would think, okay, this girl, yeah, is in the top 10 and she's winning. Oh yeah, this girl has the length, size to beat some of these girls, which she does. Like, when you first see her, you say, okay, this girl is strong. She's got long, tall. She's got all of these good things physically that you would say could handle fighters like Shikagan. Oh yeah, she could outbox and maybe pick apart Jessica Andrade if she fought her. Oh yeah, she could be tough for Erin or Manon. Like, cause look how long she is and how she could be using her height. But when she actually performs, it's a different story. That's what I'm saying. You see, there's levels. Like Erin, look how Erin fights, and then look how Andrea Lee fights. There's just a difference there, and it's always kind of been like that. That's why Andrea Lee, at this point, it is that. Like, whoever loses it, unfortunately, they're gonna be cut. For Montana's always kind of been the same way. Like, I won't say like Montana like mentally checks out a fight. I think it's just like a lack of confidence there. Like, for Montana will have certain things in a fight, but she won't fully commit all the time. And again, like, if the fighter or the trainer was to say anything, I'm going by what I've seen, and I'm going by what the resume says. Because if you did have it, then you'd be where Erin or Manon is right now. I would say, okay, look, Erin won 6 in a row. She can work on this, but she's got this about her, right? But when I'm looking at this resume and then I'm saying what I actually see, now it's not to bash somebody. I mean, the evidence is here. Because I can say, hey, I'm one of the ones that had a pick on Montana and against Macy Barber. Now, I didn't bet on her. I'm just saying, like, I thought Montana had what it takes and the tools to beat Macy Barber. And I was wrong. You know? Didn't think she would beat Tatiana Suarez, but again, like, that's her division. She's the 125 pounder. She had the advantage. She was the more active fighter. She's been in there long enough to work on her boxing and her striking to control Suarez on the feet. But again, she fought Suarez's fight, lost. Lose to JJ Aldridge, you know? Only victory she had again was the Lipsky fight and the Marmorera Barella fight. So, yeah, just looking at it and, you know, studying them, and you say, well, this is what I'm seeing throughout 9 fights between the two of them. You can't help but say, man, like, they haven't exceeded in their fights or even tried. That's why it is a loser leaves town type situation. It just is. With that, I'm hoping for a good fight between the two. I'm hoping that somebody can break their losing streak and prove why they still belong. But even with that, man, I think whoever wins, it's not like they're going to be ready to go back into the top 15. You know, like, say if Montana does destroy Andrea Lee or dominate Andrea Lee, I don't think that means Montana's going to be challenging Jazzy Vicious anytime soon, or Tracy Cortez. And that doesn't tell me they're going to win, you know. But same with Andrea Lee. Like, Andrea Lee wins this fight, it's just enough to stay afloat, but she will still have to fight some of the other girls to maybe pull a Karolina Kowalkiewicz or something, you know, to go on a win streak like that. You know, let's see who out of these two, you know, that's the thing. Like, let's see out of these two who can pull off the Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, she woke up, man. Like, she lost 5 in a row and said, what's going on? Let's see if Andrea Lee or Montana does that in this fight. All right. So I'm not even going to really break this thing down on that level. I just wanted to kind of talk about it at this point because we all know what they possess. The question is, are they going to use those tools that they possess? Because this is their last go around, y'all. This is it. All right. But let me know what y'all think on that. Okay. All right. So our last topic I wanted to jump on here. Let's see. Last topic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there it is. Ketlen Vieira calling out Kayla Harrison. We kind of discussed this, little sprinkles here and there. Just a little sprinkle here and there wherever it comes up. But the more and more I look at this thing, I'm like, man, this is really crazy. This is the opposite of what. This is the opposite of what you expect right now is going on. As soon as Kayla Harrison got into the division, I haven't heard too many voices. I haven't heard too many voices from the people you expect to hear from. Instead, you hear from Ketlen. And Ketlen, everybody knows her as kind of being low key, because she had a fight scheduled Macy Chase on, and that didn't happen. And I know Macy was a little disappointed in that, which I would be, because that kind of kept her out of the mix for 2 years. So, Macy Chase on's upset about that. There's just been a lot of other talk going on as far as people taking over since Amanda's gone. But as soon as Kayla came around, the only person I really heard say anything was, Ketlen Vieira. Ketlen is the only one that's been saying, you gotta go through me. And she made the statement that the Kayla Harrison fight was offered to her, and she wanted it for UFC 303. But apparently, Kayla Harrison doesn't want it. But let me pull it up here. She said, okay, let me pull up the article. All right. It was a few days ago, and I wanted to run through this thing. But Ketlen Vieira said she might be the shiny new toy, but just like any toy, she needs to be played with and tested. Even Juliana Pena, she hasn't fought for 2 years. She isn't deserving of the title. She isn't deserving of the title shot. I was offered the Harrison fight for June 29th. I said yes, and then they still didn't give it to me. I'm not happy at all. All right. So that first part right there, there is some truth to that, right? When you talking title shot, really, who is deserving of it? Juliana Pena's been out for 2 years. Is it wise for her to jump in there? Is it fair for her to jump in there for a title shot after 2 years? Not really, right? It wouldn't be good for her to, because let's be real, she just had a rib injury and she's rusty, right? That would mess up her chances. So yeah, she's not really deserving of it right now. And that, and then, like I said, with Kayla Harrison, just fought in April and having an easy time with Holly Holm, only going 2 rounds. I would like to see her come back in June. And if it's going to be somebody, if it could be somebody, a little bit higher, I would love the Norman Dumont fight. Don't get me wrong. Chase on would be a good fight too. But if it is going to be somebody higher and not for the belt, why not Ketlen Vieira? Ketlen is what? Let me see. Number 3. Number 2 now. Yeah. So Kayla Harrison number 4. And with Juliana Pena still out, Ketlen's number 2. So that would be a good fight, because Myra Bueno Silva and Macy Chase are going to fight. That's the number 3 and 7. That's good. But for Ketlen Vieira, this would be a good fight for her. And for Kayla, it would be a good fight, because I'm not one to want to see her just go ahead and get the Rocky Pennington fight. Because Rocky's supposedly, I heard Rocky Pennington's injured. Rocky ain't coming back till November, December. So in the meantime, Kayla versus Ketlen is a good fight. Kayla's only fought 2 rounds, so she should be ready to go again. And I think the only thing that would be hard would probably be the weight cut again, depending on how her body feels. But even then, it's only 3 months past, 2 months past. She'd be all right. right? So Caitlin made the statement that she said the fight was offered to her, but they still didn't give it to her. So I'm assuming that, yeah, Kayla Harrison turned it down. Because if the matchmakers gave it to her for 303 and Caitlin says yes, then everything should be a go, right? Caitlin versus Kayla. But I'm guessing that Kayla turned the fight down. So I could understand why she's not happy. Like, Caitlin at number 2 could argue that, hey, let me just go ahead and get the title shot now since Pena's out. She could make that argument, but she said, hey, if I got you, I'll fight Kayla Harrison. She was willing to fight her. She said, hey, you got to get dirtied up. You know, you just got here, so you got to go through me. That's kind of how she's been putting it. All right. So she said, it seems that Kayla is just not taking the fight. If the UFC offered a fight, the UFC wants to fight. It's just Kayla not taking it, basically, right? In the UFC, there's only great athletes, and she thinks she's going to say no to this fight, take an easier fight. There's no easier fights. We're all very good athletes. She has to stop running and take the fight and sign the contract. All right. She said, my name's not GDR or Juliana Pena, so I don't pick fights. At the same time, I know that I need to go up. I'm going to take any fight that's going to get me to the belt because I know I deserve that belt. I want that belt. Kayla, even though she's someone that's starting in the UFC, it would be a big fight that would bring me the attention to get me to that belt. Okay. I'm looking to fight ranked fighters, increase my ranking, and I've been clear for that date. I said yes to that fight, so I'm ready to fight around that date. But I want a fight that's going to take me to the belt, which is what I deserve. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, Kelly Vieira is making some noise now. I think she's tired, man. Like, Kelly Vieira, you know, she's had some injuries, and she knows that time is not on her side. Kelly Vieira is only like 32. So she just may be really hitting that prime. But I think, yeah, she's in a position right now to say, hey, I'll fight Kayla. Like, make it happen now. Like, Kayla Harrison, if that was offered, what's holding it up? And I think we all know the answer is Kayla Harrison, right? Because once again, it seems like, you know, even over here, you know, Kayla kind of gets to make those moves and choose what she wants. You know, she left the PFL right when Chris Cyborg got there. Now she's here, wants to go right for the belt, but it can't be like that. Because in the meantime, if Rocky's out, what else is going to happen? You got to fight somebody, right? So Dana should keep the same energy, you know, right? You can't sit out. Like, if there's fights to be made, you can't sit out. I don't like an inactive fighter, right? So I think they should just keep it going. You know, if Kellen wants it and they gave it to her, they tell Kayla Harrison, hey, let's make this fight. You know, you say no, you can't say no because this is our company and you just got here. And the fight you're getting offered could lead to a title shot. So you don't just go get a title shot on Holly Holm, especially if Holly Holm already lost to Ketlin Vieira. You know, so fight Ketlin, who has that victory as well, and just make it easy. Like, if you're that dominant and you are consider yourself to be potential GOAT, you would take this fight, right? And I mean, Ketlin sees it that way, that, you know, the UFC, you know, there is no bad fights. Best fight the best. And that's how I see it. Like, if you're going for that belt, but the champion's not available, you got to fight him. Like, you see Aaron and Manone had to do the same thing, right? Like, they wanted to push this Grasso-Shevchenko thing out a little longer to a trilogy. They both got injured. So while they were injured, you know, Aaron and Manone had to fight another fight. Even when everybody was making the argument that Aaron deserved it. No, Manone deserved it. They had to buckle down and fight a seventh fight. So for Kayla Harrison, what's it going to hurt to fight a second fight? That's why I disagree with y'all always saying Kayla needs to fight for the belt. Kayla needs to fight for the belt. She just got here. Like, what's one more fight? Everybody else in these other divisions, they got to fight 4 to 5. Flyweight had to fight 7 fights. Macy's next in line fighting 6 fights in a row, you know? So what's it going to hurt? Are you think it's that shaky that Kayla can't beat her? I mean, if Kayla's got them advantages, I mean, Kayla should have no problem taking Ketlin Vieira, because I kind of would favor Kayla Harrison right now with her aggression and size and strength. I would probably favor Kayla Harrison a little bit in this fight. So, you know, if Caitlin wants it, Caitlin, why don't you go ahead and give it to her? Right? That's how I see it. But I mean, that little shot that Caitlin Vieira threw, she was like, my name's not GDR, Juliana Pena, so I don't pick fights. Wow. She basically saying, wow. She trying to say they get to pick. She put GDR on blast. I mean, GDR just got back, man. Like, let GDR catch a break, man. GDR just lost to Norma Dumont. And, I mean, if she talking about that, like, Norma is a good return fight for GDR. You know, GDR been out like 4 years. So, you know, she had to fight low, unless she talking about the Chris Cyborg situation. Maybe Caitlin's referring to that, like, since she didn't fight Chris Cyborg, maybe she talking about that. But with Juliana Pena, I think she's talking about her not fighting Caitlin and just wanting to go for the belt. So maybe it's that, you know. So I don't know, y'all. I agree with Caitlin Vieira on this, though, man. I think Caitlin needs that fight, make it happen, and prove that you're going to get to that belt that way. You know, 2 fights in the UFC, then get the belt, championship fight. That don't sound bad to me. Not at all. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on this one, y'all. It's like what? Under an hour on this one. And those are just some things I missed earlier this week and this weekend that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, go back and check out that LFA card, catch the women's fights. But yeah, shout out to Kendra McIntyre. That was a good fight, man. That was a good knockout win for her right there. Yeah, I'm gonna play that thing back, man. Again, that was a good fight. But yeah, everything else I talked about, just leave your comments in the comment sections like usual. And make sure you subscribe to this show. Like I said, on these platforms I got on the bottom. I'm gonna start back uploading it on these. You know, if y'all want to listen to it on the go and not just on YouTube, and just keep, you know, promoting WMMA like I've been doing. So yeah, this weekend I'll probably jump back online, you know, by Friday or something, or maybe a couple of days to discuss the upcoming fights too. Well, just to fill some of y'all in. Yeah, this UFC 301 doesn't look too major to me, but yeah, you got Dion Barbosa versus Ernesta Carrot-Cake. She's taking on, you know, those are Barbosa's taking on a fellow contender series winner in Carrot-Cake. That should be a good fight. Barbosa has a win over Karine Silva already, so you know that'll be interesting how she makes her way in. Then on the prelims, you got Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Yasmin Lucindo. Yeah, that's definitely one that, you know, I want to discuss a little bit later this week. But that was all I had for today, y'all. Just wanted to keep this one under an hour and get some WMMA talk with y'all and do most of my talking today. Y'all can say whatever y'all want in the chat. But yeah, hit that subscribe and hit that like, and continue to support your one-stop spot for some WMMA talk. I'm Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.